Parker played pro basketball for the Edmonton Energy and is a coach here in the city, and he joins me now in studio. Good morning, and thanks for coming in.
Good morning. How you doing?
So what did you think of the decision that was announced by the commissioner for the NBA yesterday?
I think it was the right decision, and a number of other coaches and players within the city of Edmonton share those sentiments. What we were waiting for was just a due process, which was just to go through all of the certain procedures you need to before you can actually come down with a decision as a commissioner. And a lot of people were hasty. They wanted the decision to be made right away, but I'm glad they did go through the due process so that they can get to this decision, which was the right one. They definitely set the precedent for the NBA, and not only the NBA, but all professional sports in terms of zero discrimination from ownership players or any other type of person involved with a basketball team.
You follow the game. You know the NBA. I follow the game and know a fair bit about the NBA as well. Donald Sterling was known to be a racist for a long time. Had you been frustrated that nothing had been done before?
Yeah, absolutely I was, but there's this shift between the commissioners, between Mr. Stern and Mr. Adam Silver right now, and obviously a lot of the questions were related to why wasn't something done in the past, and I thought it was a little bit unfair to Adam Silver because he was never in that position before. He was only in a way of just counseling David Stern, but yes, he did have a history of racism in terms of his apartment buildings, not allowing blacks and Latinos in there, but I'm glad that they finally did get something done at this point in time.
But how frustrating was it over the years to see a guy like Donald Sterling still holding the position that he did up until, well, now, even though he does still technically own the team. But how frustrating was that, to know that there's a guy who's running a multi-million-dollar operation like that, and you know what he's all about.
And a number of players have actually said that. I know Charles Barkley has said that before, and a lot of them said, we're not surprised by, his sentiments about black people or about Latino people and just being discriminated. He's also an 80-year-old man, so he comes from a very different generation. I'm not by any means giving him any leeway, but I'm glad that they did decide to make a decision this time. Obviously, they're maybe worried about the league and how it's going to look in terms of money. When he leaves, we'll be able to get another buyer, etc. But they did make the right decision now. That's what's most important.
What about local basketball? Are there elements of racism within within basketball in Edmonton?
The team that I coach right now, I coach at McCune University and I coach at Emmy Lizard. And for the most part, our teams are so diverse. We have black, white, Asian, Christian, Muslim, just across the board, various different cultures and ethnicities. So in order for someone to be racist or discriminatory in any way, it would be very difficult. And I don't think it would happen very long without being noticed or being addressed. When I was younger, obviously, I've experienced a bit of racism as a player, but I was very fortunate to have incredible coaches, incredible teachers, and incredible family members who helped me through that. So currently, I would say that obviously you can't eradicate racism altogether, but in Canada, especially where I've played at every level, high school, college, and professional, we've done a great job of being very diverse.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, six-time NBA champion, a legend, obviously, that many people look up to both as a player and as a person. He wrote an article in Time about this. I want to read you the last line. He says, quote, "Instead of being content to punish Sterling and go back to sleep, we need to be inspired to diligently seek out, expose, and eliminate racism at its first signs." How do you think we make sure that happens?
Or you have to do exactly what Adam Silver did. You have to set the precedent. You need the support not just only of the other board of governors. You need the support of all the players, past, present, and future. You need effective programs for the new players coming in terms of the NBA, obviously. But to eradicate racism, it has to be on a wide scale level, on a small scale level, and even, for instance, with an interview such as this here in Edmonton, Alberta. Like, we're so far away from the NBA, except for maybe Toronto out in the East. But if we have these conversations right now within our own cities, we're able to combat it at a more smaller level and then eventually take it over at a wider level.
How long do you think it's going to be before we get back to talking about basketball with the NBA?
And that, that was my biggest pet peeve, is because these guys, the Los Angeles Clippers, they are a championship contender. There's no way that we should be talking about this nonsense right now. We should be supporting Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, and DeAndre Jordan in their quest for a championship in the NBA. And hopefully, after yesterday, we'll be able to do that once again.
It's going to be some time, though, because as you can well imagine, Donald Sterling is not going to go away quietly. Mm-hmm. This is still a franchise that he owns, and the Board of Governors has to vote 75%, although many would expect they would vote unanimously to do what they can to take it away from him. How prepared are you for this to be a lengthy process that you're going to have to kind of grit your teeth and look at sideways for a while?
I'm going to choose to take a different approach to that and say, well, I think the worst in terms of just the image of the NBA and just the effect that it had on its players is done with. We're just going to allow the lawyers to take care of this. It's going to drag out, obviously, but it's not going to affect these players that much. They're not really thinking about it anymore. Commissioner Silver came out unequivocally and he said that we are going to stand against this and the players support that. So they're going to allow him and the owners to take care of it. They're not going to think about it at all.
Thanks for coming into studio this morning. Good to talk to you.
Thanks so much.
Andrew Parker played professional basketball for the Edmonton Energy, and he's also a coach here in the city.